What a view.
To a kill.
After 12 years and 6 consecutive films, A View to a Kill would mark Roger Moore's 7th and final performance as 007. At this point, Moore was 57. The plausibility of him playing the character was really starting to stretch. But it's a testament to how Moore's Bond endeared himself to audiences to last as long as he did. You could argue he should have left the role several films ago, and many times he came close to doing so. But he decided that he could squeeze out one more Bond adventure. I don't think we'll ever see another actor play Bond for such a long stretch of time and do as many films Moore has done. Maybe if they film them closer together or consecutively, but I doubt that will ever happen. I don't think audiences today would be so willing to accept an actor in his 50s playing 007. So how does A View to a Kill do as Moore's swan song? It's not a great film for Moore to have ended on. This film gets a lot of negative attention and there is plenty that warrants it, but there is some entertaining stuff in it. Moore had done much better films and, in my opinion, worse ones, but I think A View falls in the lower half. There are moments of interest in it, but as a whole is never really as entertaining as it should be. The plot revolves around Max Zorn's plan of flooding Silicon Valley and allowing him to corner the world's microchip market. It's basically a Goldfinger plan. Christopher Walken as Max Zorn probably ranks as the absolute most psychotic Bond villain. Past villains might have been nuts, but at least they could hold it together and put up a sophisticated facade. Zorn is just completely out there, and it is fun to watch. There's a suggestion that he went insane by having experiments being done to him as a baby. Whatever the reason, Zorn is crazy and seems to enjoy it. The teaser opening with Bond retrieving a microchip results in a snow chase. The setup looks like it will pay off with an exhilarating sequence, but never really does. When Bond makes a makeshift snowboard, the excitement gets diluted by the old trick of a gag soundtrack. Why do they do this? And Bond escaping in a styrofoam iceberg is pretty ridiculous looking. The chick is really hot though. The setting of the Eiffel Tower seemed like it would result in a very memorable Bond scene, but it's very brief and quickly forgotten. I think it's cool they managed to do a skydive off of it. I mean, how often do you see that stunt performed? And I'm sure they went through a lot of trouble to set it up. But there's very little build-up to it. Maybe it's the pacing or how it's shot, but it's never as thrilling as the stunt should have been. Bond chasing the assassin through the crowded Paris streets has a few fun stunts. Most of them are comedic, as Bond's car gets systematically demolished little by little, but there really isn't any tension to the scene. It's always bothered me that Bond's driving is so erratic and dangerous that pedestrians are more at risk from him than the assassin he's chasing. The next portion of the film focuses on Zorn's horse stable, genetic testing, and implanted microchips that make the horses run faster. It feels somewhat of a detour considering Zorn's ultimate plan, and it certainly takes up a lot of time for very little payoff. I think they could have shortened this section of the film or maybe even completely removed it. While Bond investigates Zorn at his horse stables, he has a quick fight with some of Zorn's heavies, trades some quips with Patrick McNee, beds Grace Jones, and meets his Bond leading lady, Stacey Sutton. Now Grace Jones is Zorn's henchwoman and lover Mayday. She's definitely a unique looking woman, and that's probably why they cast her, along with her popularity at the time. But other than her looks, she doesn't exhibit much charisma.
The time has been booby-trapped. If you tamper with it, we're gonna blow up.
The scene when Bond gets her in bed is kind of uncomfortable and awkward to watch. By the way, her then-boyfriend at the time, Dolph Lundgren, has a small appearance as a Russian heavy. When Bond is found out, Zorn inevitably is ready to knock him off and puts Bond through this kooky horse obstacle course. It's pretty weird when you think about why would Zorn have this stuff set up. Maybe he has a lot of 00s paying him a visit. But I guess as a Bond villain, you can't just take Bond out and shoot him. You have to accept the reasoning that you have to devise an elaborate death for him, no matter how silly it might seem. When Bond is unconscious in a car that's being rolled into a lake, it's probably my favorite moment from the whole first half of the film. He wakes up, is ready to surface, and sees Zorn watching the water, so what does he do? He breathes the air from the car tire. It's an inventive, logical escape from the predicament. I'm not even sure if it's really possible to breathe tire air, but it's the most creative idea presented during the whole horse portion of the film. In San Francisco, Bond reunites with Stacy. They do some bad flirting back and forth. Moore's usual funny quips are pretty lame and tired here. He doesn't have any really funny one-liners.
The connecting box is outside my bedroom window.
I think I should be able to find that.
Tanya Roberts is Bond's leading lady, Stacy Sutton. Watching her in the role now, it seems more like a case of stunt casting than anything else. Like Grace Jones, whose height of popularity could be said was in the mid-80s, so was Tanya's. I can't help but think that was the sole reason she was cast. I think the thought that she could actually play the character and would have some chemistry with Roger Moore was secondary, if it was even considered at all. There's a lot of arguing that Tanya ranks as the worst Bond girl ever. Ever. I think she's a great candidate. The character is pretty clueless. I think I would have been much more interested in learning more about the Russian agent Bond briefly encounters in the film. She looked like she would be much more interesting than Stacy. The amount of time she screams and yells gets pretty annoying. Maybe you could create the Stacy Sutton drinking game out of it. Do a shot every time she yells James and screams. By the end of the film, you'd be hammered. She is beauty, but not a lot of brains, as clearly demonstrated by the scene when she's completely oblivious Zorn's blimp is chasing her. I personally wouldn't rank her as the worst Bond girl, though. I think the worst is still yet to come. The City Hall scene plays as real as anything in the film. It's mainly due to Walken's performance. He really plays Zorn crazy and impulsive, who just got the idea of burning down City Hall at the moment and will have fun making it happen. Bond and Stacy's escape from the building is played pretty straight. They push the drama a little too much towards the end of the sequence, though. The music and the crowd shots just kind of seem over the top. The film immediately shifts gears for a dumb chase in the San Francisco streets with Bond driving a fire truck. It goes for some cheap laughs with a series of car crashes, sight gags, and some comedy relief by an incompetent police captain and his inept squad of cops. The most memorable scene in the film is when Zorn is shooting his own workers and laughing maniacally as they're being mowed down. It's probably my favorite moment in the film. Bond and Mayday team up and she sacrifices herself to stop Zorn's plan. Maybe if we had gotten to learn a little more about her character and her affection for Zorn, we could have had more sympathy for her, and the scene would have had more impact. But since we know very little about her, we don't care when she goes. The film climaxes with Bond and Zorn duking it out on the top of the Golden Gate Bridge. The scene has some impressive moments, mainly due to the stuntmen. I think they should have gotten equal billing alongside Roger Moore during his run as Bond. And Zorn's death is highlighted by Walken's crazed laugh as he's about to fall to his death. This was Lois Maxwell's final film appearance as Miss Moneypenny after appearing in 14 Bond films. Previously in Octopussy, a new assistant secretary was introduced, Penelope Smallbone. It looked like she was there to take over the Moneypenny role and to give the new, eventually younger Bond someone to flirt with in the office. But the character was never seen again. The role of Miss Moneypenny would be passed down to other actresses. Robert Brown, who became the new M in Octopussy, would return for 2 more films, and Q's Desmond Llewellyn would keep up his recurring role for quite a while longer. Since leaving the role of 007, Roger Moore has appeared sporadically in films and TV. He spent much of his time promoting the work of UNICEF. In October 2008, his autobiography, My Word Is My Bond, was released. I still haven't gotten a chance to read it, though. As for Bond fans, the inevitable changing of the guard had come. After 12 years, the wait was now on to see who would inherit the role of James Bond.